What's up, guys? So hey, let's talk about night vision equipment and how that correlates with using a vehicle for defense or to fight with. It's always been a huge passion of mine, night vision equipment that is, and kind of integrating that with the functionality of my vehicle. So yeah, let's take a look at it, dude. Quick note, if you're in a support type position in your group of people that you're working with, then night vision equipment working with a firearm like this is very simple and relatively cheap as soon as you have a firearm to do it. Run tracers every 4th or 5th round. Run a tracer. It's gonna, that's your aiming device pretty much. It's called accuracy in quantity. So it's kind of a simple fix for this type of support role, if you could call it that. But we will look at night vision equipment in every role that can be played. So anything from a sub-machine gun, quote-unquote, type situation, to a long gun, to a DMR of sorts, to vehicle-mounted weapons, to having equipment on your vehicle so you can drive under night vision. It's very important. I think all aspects are important. So let's get started. We'll talk about everything that I have set up for those roles that are played. So let's get started. All right, first one, let's take a look at it. I know pistol caliber carbines are actually pretty popular nowadays. This is kind of a classic-ish firearm, so we're going to take a look at it. This is what I would use for driving of sorts, and the only reason why is because the stock can be collapsed and the bolt can be, or the firearm can be functional with the stock collapsed. So that's important when driving. In my opinion, you're going to have like hardcore professional dudes that might argue with me and side with them, but this is what works for me. So Steiner makes some amazing freaking products. This is the Steiner OTAL-C. This is a great infrared designator aiming device for pistol caliber carbines because it is smaller, lightweight. Run the pressure switch to the other side. I also have a infrared bezel, which I don't know why that's off of there right now. I probably took it off because I didn't want to lose it when I was out playing around with this thing. But for this Surefire light, has an infrared bezel on it, works great. This is what I use for the driving type role play scenario type deal for being in the truck. It runs on this PVS 14 or PVS 7 over here. This is the unit I use for driving because it is a binocular setup. It's easier on the eyes. I don't get headaches like if I was running a monocular setup when you're just running one eye. So yeah, this really works. This is a infrared strobe, so my buddies can keep an eye on me. This is a older infrared strobe, just in case one of them fails, because you can't change the batteries on this, so when they're gone, they're gone. So I always have run doubles on this guy, because I believe they're very important, especially when you're working with a team. These are green jump lights, if you're out moving around. So we're going to base everything on this unit, because this is the unit that I use the most. Primarily for driving, since this is a BOV of sorts. All right, let's take a look at the long gun / DMR setup. All right, yeah. Now, the long gun DMR setup is definitely the most frustrating to set up because you're spending a lot of money to only do one job. It's not like buying a PVS 7 or a PVS 14 and being able to do multiple jobs, such as driving, stuff like that. But this is a very important role, and I think it's something that people should focus on. And definitely having this compatible with your vehicle, I think, is extremely important. being able to go out to range. So this is a handmade AR-10 style 308. This is a DPMS Gen 2 pattern. I handmade this from the ground up, including milling my own receiver. So it was a lot of fun. Now, let's talk about night vision on a DMR. These guys are very expensive. These guys are called clip-ons. Now, clip-on units turns any, and I mean red dots as well, this turns any daytime optic into a fully functioning night vision optic. So this will work on red dots and magnified optics. These things are great, but they're very, very expensive. What I'm running here is the Armasight, let me make sure I get the model right here. This is the COMR Gen 3. This is not a Pinnacle filmless tube. I believe this tube does have film, but this is a remote electronic switch, so I can turn this on and off with a remote. And all you do is you roll it over the top, right in front of your optic, your daytime optic. You press, it clips on, and then you run this little sleeve right over the top of it. Boom. That is now a fully functioning nighttime optic that is a standalone unit. And I use this. This, I believe, was the Armasight Pro Torch, if I remember correctly. This guy goes up here, and you flip it up, just like that. Now, having a torch on a long-distance gun is extremely important. Extremely important if you're trying to reach out and touch something at 600 to 800 meters at night. There's a lot of training that goes behind using one of these, but that's not what this video is about. The second most important piece of equipment for a night vision DMR is a spotting scope. Now, this is a digital spotting scope. It does the job just fine. It works on a bipod, which is what we need it for, and it has a built-in torch. I do recommend playing around with these before you go spend, $5,000–6,000 on a analog night vision spotting scope, but this works just fine for what I'm doing, especially running a 308. Now, if you're doing night vision equipment on like a 338 Lapua and you're trying to get out to over 1,000 yards at night, which is extremely difficult, I don't even know if anyone's done it yet, but you definitely want to go with a higher end piece of glass for your spotting scope. But this is the unit that I use for the DMR setup when using night vision. All right, long gun, or just your primary fighting rifle and your secondary. This is also compatible with certain equipment on the truck, and we'll go over it. I believe this one's the Vital 2 aiming device, which is a great device. This is old school. This is a Class 1 IR laser. It does have a illuminator on it. I do not like this illuminator on this in particular piece of equipment, so that's why I run the Surefire 952V, and this is a dual torch. So you have an IR setting, you pull the bezel up and you turn it, and that clicks over to white light. So now you're running white light. Pretty cool. So you have, this is 2 torches in one. Piece of night vision equipment that's a great designator from back in the day. I really like it. But yeah, this is what I use for the rifle, and it works great. I have 2 rifles set up like this, one for my wife and one for me. Now let's check out the pistol. Now you're gonna have lots of dudes tell you to run a red dot on your pistol. I have issues with running a red dot for night vision because I play in the mud a lot, and mud, snow really jacks with pistol mounted red dots. So I run these pistol designators. Again, Steiner product. They're great products. They're just expensive. I believe this flashlight cost me just under $1,000. But this is the D-Ball PL. It's the pistol light. You have a visible setting button right here on your fire control side, and your support side is your IR function. It's green visible and then the eye infrared. It also has a white light and an infrared light. So these are great. If you guys are wondering what pistol this is the M&P 9mm. This is the 101st Airborne model. These are super rare. Big shout out to the Screaming Eagles. I believe it was deployment 2004 to 2005. The Death Dealers. You guys are fucking awesome. But this is the 101st Airborne model. This is the 1.0 M&P 9mm. Anyways, killer product. Runs on the two CR123A batteries. Great piece of equipment. Now let's move on to talking about how this coordinates with certain equipment I have on the vehicle. All right, vehicle. Nice. This guy right here. This is a infrared light bar. This is a 24-volt light bar. These are actually pretty hard to come by, but you can find them. And if you're pretty good with electronics, you can probably get one of these to work on your 12-volt system for your vehicle. This is a 24-volt light bar. You can tell because it has this massive cooling fan on the back of the light bar. See if I can get you over there. Oh. This is a Ibis Tech 24-volt light bar. See if I can get you the model right there. There you go, Ibis Tech. Now this thing is pretty crazy. It's like it's like having your own personal sun basically when you're at night. No one else can see this. There is no red glow. These are actually true infrared LEDs. So there's no glow, but they do produce a lot of heat, which is why you have all the cooling features on this thing. Now, you can use this for driving. You can manipulate, make your own blackout switch. That's what this guy is. And this turns on the infrared light bar. So, and that is the fan that just kicked on. As you can see, try not to stare at it. This camera picks up a little bit of the infrared light, but it will burn out your camera, so try not to stick your camera in front of it. Nice. Let's go up to the turret. Oh, infrared filters for your mechanical searchlights are always important. I don't have those out and about and available. But those are very important, very useful. So that's something you can think about. Now, let's take a look at the turret. Whoa. This big dinner plate right here. This is an infrared spotlight. That is a white spotlight right there. These things are great. They get very, very hot, so make sure you know, your cooling fins are all clean. Make sure you don't have crap in it like sticks, mud, whatever. Anyways, yeah. So that's a different feature on this truck. And the aiming device right here. This is a dual visible and infrared laser. It's controlled with buttons on the back, and it goes anywhere that this turret goes. So these guys make this turret extremely functional at night. Works very well. And you always have to have the appropriate stickers on your machine gun turret. Very nice. All right, gentlemen. That's it.